Hi my angels, and welcome back to my channel. My angels is back. I feel like so many of you guys missed it in the comments that I'm bringing it back for you guys. Today's video is going to be a tutorial. It's going to be a chatty tutorial, and it's actually going to be from this look that I wore out last Friday. I wore this out to a friend's birthday, and yeah, I asked on Instagram if you guys wanted to see a tutorial on this look, and pretty much everyone said yes. So that is what I'm doing for you guys right now. It's actually very easy to do. It's all about glowy skin, a bit of glitter on the eyes and a pink lip. Nothing revolutionary, but I did actually want to film a get ready with me on the day. We had no time to get ready and I rushed, and yeah, this is what I came up with, and I thought what better way to show you guys how I did my makeup than to sit down and just film for you guys. So I actually emptied out my makeup bag. This is the one that I travel with when I'm going for just like one night. My mom thinks this is really excessive, but I feel like it's a good size for one night out because I like to pack extra things. And I've got to say, pretty much everything that I packed, I did end up using either on the Friday night or the Saturday morning. So yeah, I've got all my makeup in front of me and I'm gonna crack straight on to exactly how I did my makeup. The first two things that I'm loving at the moment are these Farsali oils. I've seen them all over Instagram and I love Decay, and I was so excited to get these. They're actually stocked on Cult Beauty now and I actually really love these. I feel like I haven't really used many other moisturizers or primers, but I really like the way that they sit on my skin. So I'm taking the Rose Gold Elixir first, and I'm using this as a moisturizer for my face, and this smells like oranges. It's really nice. I'm not the biggest fan of like citrusy scents, but this is like a sweet orange. Is there a clementine? You know those oranges that you have during Christmas time? It basically smells like that. So it's really nice and sweet, and it's not too like tangy. I really do like the way that this sits on my skin because it doesn't feel too oily or greasy. It actually feels really nice and moisturized instead. I am going to leave this on my skin for a couple of minutes, let that sink in before we move on to the primer. And the primer I'm going to be using is this Unicorn Essence. I actually thought this was going to be quite oily, but when you put it on the skin, it just forms like a really nice layer, and I really like it because the last thing I want to do is put too many like oily, slippery products on my face. Okay, so it's been a couple of minutes since I've let the other oil sit on my face, so I'm going to just put this all over. And this dries really nicely as well. It's nothing too like slippery. It kind of dries down to a bit of a satin finish, but with a really nice glow to the skin, which is what I love, especially before I'm going to go in with my foundation. So the two foundations I mixed in together are these two right here. This is no surprise to you guys if you have been a long time watcher of my videos. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter, and this is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. And I feel like this is a foolproof combination for whenever I want to go out and have like that really flawless looking skin. So I'm just putting 1 pump of the All Nighter and then 2 pumps of the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, and I'm going to be bouncing that all into my face with my damp beauty blender, which is by far my favorite way of applying my foundation. I am just going to add a little bit more coverage to the areas where I feel like I like having that little bit extra, which is generally around my mouth and my nose, but I will blend the rest of it out into my skin just so that it's nice and blended. Before I forget, I am going to put some lip balm on so that my lips are nice and prepped before we apply our lips right at the end. It is looking really nice and glowy at the moment, but I am going to go and powder things down. But first I'm going to use all my cream products, and I'm going to contour using my Becca Lowlight Sculpting powder. I've actually got all my brushes here that I packed with me, so I'm literally going to use everything that I used on Friday. I actually used the Rodial baking brush to do my cream contour, especially with this. I feel like they work really well together, and I'm just putting this onto the usual areas that I like to contour, and this is a very cool toned contour, which is what I love when it comes to contouring. But I'm just putting this on like the perimeters of my face, which is like all around my forehead, into my cheekbones, and also on my jawline. And then for highlighting and concealing, I used a mixture of 2 concealers. The first one is my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is in the shade Custard, and I'm going to put this on to kind of underneath my eyes. Before I used to take it really far out, but now I've kind of changed the way that I do it, and I just kind of keep it quite just like underneath my eyes. And by doing it this way, it basically like slims out your face as well, so I really like that technique. And then I am also going to bring it quite far up the nose as well. A little bit on my chin and a little bit on my forehead, and also around my mouth. And then taking my trusty Maybelline Eraser Eye Concealer, I'm just going to add a little bit on top. And this is just going to further brighten the under eyes. And I know it looks really crazy right now, but we are going to sort that out by blending it all away with my damp beauty blender, and I'm using the pointy side for this. And I feel like the combination of these two concealers work really well together. My under eyes did not crease one bit, and I am using a new setting powder as well. So maybe this like triple combination of concealers and my new setting powder is really helping everything stay in place. I'm just blending all the other lines away. To set my under eyes, I'm using the Tarte Filtered Light Powder, and I've been really enjoying this. The powder itself is brilliant. I'm just taking this on a Zoeva highlight brush. This is the 105, and I'm setting all of that in place. So I'm just setting all the areas that we applied the concealer, and then I'm going to go ahead and set all of the contour areas as well. And this combination of like concealers and powders gives such a flawless finish, and it looks amazing in photography as well. To set all of the contour areas, I'm taking my Tarte Park Avenue Princess bronzer, and I'm just taking that on my Marc Jacobs the blush brush. And this is a really nice like angled brush. I need to spend like a whole day just cleaning up my brushes because I feel like my skin hasn't been in the best condition, and I genuinely think it's because I'm not cleaning any of my brushes. So note to self, I need to do that. But for now, we're just going to roll with it, and I'm just going to show you guys exactly the brushes and everything I used on Friday. To deepen that really slightly, I'm taking Hoola by Benefit, and I am just going to take some of that and just put it onto the cheek areas. And this is just to add a little bit more warmth into the skin because the other bronzer is quite a cool toned bronzer. And then one thing I do like to do is I take my round end on my beauty blender that was used with the foundation. I'm just blending all of that in together. So it just gives a really nice seamless finish. I'm going to finish the rest of my cheeks off, and then I'm going to do my nose contour because I've been doing that a little bit differently before I move on to the eyes, because when I did my eyes I didn't have any kind of fallout, so I'm going to do that right at the end. But I'm going to take my NYX Sweet Cheeks palette, and I'm going to take a mixture of these two shades right here, this peachy tone and this more mauvey tone. I'm going to pop that on to the apples of my cheeks until it's nice and blended. And for highlight, I am taking my Laura Gellar Gilded Honey. I feel like this is such a perfect highlight for nights out because it really does sparkle in the night, and it looks great in pictures as well. It really does look like you've put loads of effort into your highlight. My brush isn't sprayed or anything like that with any Fix Plus or any mist. It's literally just, I'm using it dry, but it looks really nice and glowy on the skin. I'm gonna lie, I feel like I did add a little bit of a Blissful highlight from OFRA. I'm just taking the tiniest amount and putting that on like the highest point of my cheeks. And I'm literally just dabbing it in one time into the pan. And again, as always, I'm taking my beauty blender and just making sure that's nicely meshed into the skin. For nose contour, I'm taking my Hoola bronzer, and I'm taking my Luxie 182 brush. 182 brush. This is the JD Wadey brush, and it's specifically made for contouring the nose. So what I do with this is I get some product onto my brush, and then I basically just start drawing a line down the side of my nose. And I like to somewhat join it up to my eyebrow, and then a little bit on the tip of my nose. And then what I have been doing is I've been taking my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finishing Powder, and I take the other end of the brush, which is kind of like a slanted angled brush. What I do is I coat both sides of the brush, and then I basically start cleaning those lines up. So this makes the contour a little bit more sharper, but we are going to blend everything away, so it's not going to look too crazy like this. And then I'm also adding some down the center of the nose as well. I'm going to let that sit for a little bit whilst I prime my eyes. So I'm going to take my, I'm actually going to take my Sephora eyeshadow pencil, and this is in the shade Secret Boudoir. This is like a waterproof eyeshadow pencil, and it is the same color pretty much as my skin tone, or like the closest to my skin tone. So now that I've drawn some lines on this one eye, I'm just going to blend it out before I move to the next, because these do dry pretty quickly. So you don't want to like draw lines and then leave it because it's difficult to blend out. So just making sure everything is nice and blended. And then the same thing on the other eye. And the brush that I'm using is the finger brush from Urban Decay. And taking that same Charlotte Tilbury powder, I'm just going to set my eyelids so that this is just going to help all of the eyeshadow blend in really nicely together. And then I'm also going to brush the nose contour away. I am going to quickly go over it with my damp beauty blender. This just helps blend everything away really nicely. I am going to slightly neaten up my brows using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. And because my brows are microbladed, I basically just need to just sort the outline out, make sure it's nice and not taken away by the foundation. But it's really easy to just sort them out. Like, that's done. That was literally a few strokes and it just looks like that I spent forever on them. But really, it's the microblading. And then to set my brow hairs in place, I am using, if I can open it, the Legendary Brows from Charlotte Tilbury. And I'm just going to go over all the little brow hairs. And this is going to add a little bit extra warmth and colour to the brows and also set them in place. I can see a little hair that needs tweezing out. There we go, that's better. I totally forgot to add highlight on my nose, so I'm going to do that really, really quickly. I'm taking my Laura Gellar Gilded Honey and I'm taking that same angled brush from that Luxie contour brush and I'm basically drawing a line down my nose like so, very, very slightly, and then also a dot on the end. I thought something was missing there. So moving on to the eyes, it looks like a really complicated eyeshadow look, but it's really, really not. So what I did use was I used the Urban Decay Heat Palette. And first I'm going to go in with the shade Low Blow and I'm going to put that all into my crease. And this is what I love doing with pretty much every single eyeshadow look. And that's where I go in with the crease shade and slowly build it up to a deeper color. I wanted the crease shade to be really, really warm. So I am going to go in the shade with Cayenne next. And then afterwards build that up a little bit more using the shade Enfuego. I did add a little tiny bit of the shade Ashes just to make the crease look a little bit deeper. And that's where you've got that really kind of deep purple in the crease. Now moving on to the fun part, which is the shimmery glittery shade, which I had on my eyelids. And this is basically one of my favorite eyeshadow shades like ever. And it's by Colourpop. And it looks like this. It's like a foiled, glittery, shimmery eyeshadow. And it's in the shade Nillionaire. And it is stunning. This you can put on with your fingers or a brush. I'm using the Zoeva Luxe Brow Light Brush. And I'm basically just going to pack that on to my eyelids, and I'm basically putting this on to the bit where my eyeball is, so not going too far up into the crease because otherwise we're just going to ruin all the crease work that we've put on there. But can you see how stunning that shade is? I feel like this is like my go-to summery shade. I don't use that much Colourpop stuff, but if there is one thing that I use, it is definitely this eyeshadow shade. It is so stunning. You can just see it on my eyes right now, like ugh. I actually wear this sometimes on itself and it looks just as equally stunning with nothing in the crease shade, just this kind of a lightly dusted all over. Here I'm packing quite a bit on because I want it to be super intense. These have like a really creamy texture, so you don't really get much fallout either, which is really good because the last thing you want is to put a glitter onto your eyelids and for it to fall over your rest of your makeup. So this is quite a good one when you want something shimmery and glittery without having the extra work that you need to do under your eyes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that the actual crease is nice and blended still. So I'm just taking the same brush that I used on the crease shades. This is the 228 Zoeva brush. I'm just making sure everything is nice and blended in because the last thing you want is like a really harsh line between all of the colours that you have going on your eyelids. I feel like this eye just reminds me of a glistening, glittery sunset. It is so stunning and it's perfect for the summer, hotter months. Very quickly, I'm just going to work on the lower lash line. I am going to be taking the shade Enfuego and I'm going to be just smoking that out on the lower lash line. Nothing too crazy, nothing too much because I don't want to go too extra crazy and too dark on the under eyes because I don't want it to take away from the glitter that we've got going on at the top. I did actually want to add a little bit more glitter to the eyes on the night out, so I took my Stila Magnificent Metals glitter. This is in the shade Diamond Dust, and this has so many different types of glittery dimension to it. It's got some rainbow colours in there, it's got like some silver glitter flecks, it's got some gold glitter flecks, it's got a bit of everything. So what I did with this is I got more of a precise brush. This is the Sigma E32, and what I did was I just kind of dotted this onto my eyelid, and I'm just getting a little bit onto my brush and just dotting and blending away, and this just adds that extra intense pigment. So you can see like this eye doesn't have the glitter and this one does, and it just adds a little bit of extra sparkle, and again this looks really good in pictures as well. And then one more time with the crease brush, I'm just making sure everything's nice and blended. I do have a little bit of glitter on underneath my eyes, but it just flicks straight off, which is the good thing about this glitter from Stila. I'm very quickly tightlining my upper waterline with the black Infallible gel liner from L'Oreal, and then taking the brown one to very slightly line my lower waterline. I am going to be adding some falsies, so I'm just going to add a very quick layer of the L'Oreal Paradise Lash, which I am loving recently, and then I'm going to go on top with some Miami lashes from Lilly Lashes. Now that the eyes are all done, I'm going to move on to lips, and surprisingly, I only used one lip shade, which is very, very unusual for me, and that is this Charlotte Tilbury lipstick right here called Pillow Talk. And I actually have the Pillow Talk lip liner, which is one of my favorite shades, so I'm so glad that it comes in a lipstick form now. And this is such a stunning, like, pink nude. One thing that I do like to do is I like to line my lips after I put lipstick on. So this is Mahogany lip liner from NYX, and I'm just going to really, really gently and slightly line my lips. So I am almost done, but the one last thing that I did before I applied any kind of setting spray is I used my Bare Pro foundation powder, which is from Bare Minerals. I love this stuff, especially for when I want like full coverage and I want my makeup to last a lot longer and look a bit more flawless without looking cakey. Is I get this on like a packing kind of brush, and I just kind of press this into my skin, and this locks everything in place and also gives you a little bit extra coverage in the areas where you might want it. And now the final step is to lock everything in place, and I'm using my all-nighter setting spray from Decay, and I'm just gonna spray it all over my face. So there you have it, you guys. This is the makeup look that I wore out on Friday night, and pretty simple to do, pretty glamorous at the same time. This literally took me about 25 minutes to get ready. I did have my foundation and stuff done already, so I just kind of went over on the day. But when you're not talking and you want to quickly get your makeup done, this is actually not that difficult to do. And you can totally switch the lip color up, you can totally switch the tones of the crease shade up, and you can even switch the glitter up if you want. So let me know if you guys recreate this look or anything similar, and please don't forget to tag me in your pictures if you do. All my social media links are below, so please don't forget to check that out. And do also give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. But that is all for now, and I will see you guys all in my next video.